well put together. Absolutely. It said around 30% of eligible voters voted in the last election. Like I said earlier, we focus a lot, at least that 30% likes to argue back and forth about who has the highest chance of winning the election or winning in a runoff. We don't talk about the issues at hand. We don't talk about who needs to be in office, who needs to bring change. And that's what this is about. So we're not, worried about, the names that have the most recognition or, who would beat who in a runoff. We're worried about our individual votes. And so we will see the largest 18 to 25 voter turnout in Chicago's history in this upcoming election.
What makes Samara qualified to run the third largest city in America?
Well, one, she's an activist. So we have had mayor after mayor, Democratic mayor after mayor, come into office and be stagnant and have to worry about their donors and have to worry about their constituents. But we haven't had anybody that is truly an activist, somebody that's going to be active in office. So if you're afraid of change, you're probably not going to vote for Amara. But if you're willing to see what this city could be, then you will vote for Amara.
I would also like to say to that question that I'm probably the only candidate that actually has the experience from having worked in government at the top levels, having worked in the private sector, worked in the public sector, and also worked at the grassroots level. I've worked across policy areas. So you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who has the breadth and depth of experience that I've generated over the years of my work.
Are you supporting it financially? Financial donation in your campaign?
I haven't yet, but we'll see. I got a lot of money, so it would be scary.
Chance, why not run for office and have the response maybe think about it in the future? And also, am I a running mate?
I'm sorry, could you just rephrase that question?
Why not run for office yourself and has the response you got made you think you might do it in the future?
Yeah, no, I probably won't ever be running for mayor of this city, but I believe that me and Amara share a vision on what Chicago could be. We believe in supporting the people that are at the bottom economically, people that just have been written off. And she has, like she said, the experience in policy work and being a teacher and being an advocate for people without a voice. And I want to put my voice where she is.
Why not Tony Preckwinkle? Your dad is Tony Preckwinkle. Why not Tony Preckwinkle?
Are you asking me why I didn't side with my dad?
And why not Tony Preckwinkle specifically, too?
Well, like I said first, I think that Amara is the most qualified candidate. As far as my dad goes, that's my family. And at the end of the day, I'm always going to love my dad. I'm going to always rock with my dad. But that has nothing to do with what I see as the future of Chicago. So.
Can you amplify what you said about narcissistically, that if I back her, she has a chance? What makes you think so?
Absolutely. I'm the voice right now, and it's a whole lot of people in this room. I think that we focus a lot, like I keep saying, on who has a chance of winning. No way that this person could beat this person. I got to vote where my vote's going to count. But I want people to find their individuality in this election and vote where their heart is. And so narcissistically, I'm going to say my individual vote is one vote, and my voice is this whole room. So I want to be behind the person that I believe can make a change.
And we also want to make very... Yeah, so that was, gratefully, that was actually resolved. We have an excellent attorney that's been working on our behalf. That was something from years ago. So we've moved on and we're focused on the future. Also, we want to make sure that this campaign is not just about Chicago. This is actually national in scope. The influence that Chance brings to this is because this is part of a broader movement for people who are clamoring for a different kind of city. So again, we've said this is just the beginning. This is just the first step. There's a lot more to come.
Yeah, they're going to follow Taylor Swift's lead and ask people to go to vote.org and sign up and get registered.
For the past few years, I've been through the nonprofit that I work with, Social Works. We've been doing voter registrations both locally and nationally. And so the answer is yes, we will be getting way more voters.
So your opponents are already pointing out that you work for Mayor Daley, and they see that perhaps as a negative, not a positive. What do you say to that?
I was very intentional about working in city government because I think the way that you understand how systems need to be changed is you have to understand them intimately. So I was very intentional about making sure that I got comprehensive governmental experience working in that administration so that I can come out and have the voice and the understanding of what needs to be changed in city government. So that's part of a broad array of experience that I've had.
In 2015, you endorsed Bob Fioretti. Why did you endorse Bob Fioretti in the 2015 mayoral election? He's not necessarily progressive. He doesn't seem to share Chance's vision for the city. He's on the right wing of the Democratic Party.
Well, so at the time, the alderman had actually had progressive votes in city council, had a progressive track record of standing with the teachers union in city council, had spoken up on certain key issues that I had advocated for. And it was important for me to make sure that if I were not going to be in the running for mayor in 2015, that there was a platform that was open and that most closely mimicked the platform that I had spent months talking about. That was the reason for that endorsement. Obviously, things happened after that, but that was the reason at the time.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Mark Braver from the south side of Chicago, and I just wanted to know, if you were mayor, what do you plan on doing about the food deserts across the southeast side of Chicago?
Good question.
That's an excellent question. So I, in my work, have worked alongside many organizations in the city of Chicago to address the food desert issue, not just from bringing grocery stores, but really getting involved in urban agriculture. I see that as a potential economic boon as well for the city. We know what's happening on the south side, for example, in South Shore, without having a grocery store there for years. This is something that community organizations have been working on for years, and I would be a champion on those issues because I've done it in the past. I've done it also on the west side of Chicago, and would definitely continue to do it as mayor.
Mara,
Can you talk again a little bit about
have you paid these
why
fines
not?
to the state board of elections? Have they been paid?
We have until November 19th. As I said, that issue, we have an excellent attorney that's already worked that out with the state. So we have until November 19th, but it's going to be resolved long before then. So we don't see that as an issue. It's definitely not an impediment. We're moving on, and we have a great team that's working with us.
Why should
You
you
say
let
why not
confidence that
Tony
you could run the
Preckwinkle?
city when you couldn't file campaign paperwork properly?
What's your question?
I wanted to ask him, why not Tony Preckwinkle?
Just to run it back, similar question to earlier, I believe that Amara Inya is the correct candidate. I've had candidates that I supposedly had a good relationship with hit me up and let me know that they are the most likely person to win this seat and that I'm throwing away an endorsement. And I just want to continue to push the point that there is no monolith in votes. We are all individuals, and we will all individually say who we believe can run this city correctly, who can run City Hall correctly. And this is who I believe is the correct person. I think that you are looking at the future mayor of Chicago in City Hall right now.
Pardon?
What are you going to do as far as reforming the Chicago Police Department?
So I have been involved in police accountability issues for several years now, and the hallmarks of those issues have always been calling for transparency, calling for another layer of accountability, which is why the consent decree is important, and calling for a cultural change that needs to happen within the police department. It is a system, and so systemic issues need systemic solutions. That has been my stance for several years, and we will continue to do that and to push for those reforms as mayor.
How will you defend the consent decree against a challenge by the Justice Department?
Well, we've been very clear. We've issued a couple of statements already on the President and the Attorney General's stance on the consent decree. We have pushed that it is absolutely necessary. These issues are not new. We've been contending with issues of police misconduct and brutality for decades in the city of Chicago, and we have to have a layer of accountability that is not relying upon a system that has demonstrated that there needs to be additional oversight. And so we made that statement very clear when the President made his statement, and we will continue to make that statement clear after.
So you want to be voting to elect a civilian police accountability council?
As I said, I have walked alongside and marched with all of the individuals that were involved with CPAC. There have been ongoing community processes that have taken place for years. Again, this is not new to me. This is a part of my organizing background, and so you will see where I stand.
I don't want to talk about the Chicagoist. I'm just here for Amara today.
Chance, a lot of people say politics. Go ahead.
Is this a one-day event? Are we going to see you engaged in the campaign over the next few months?
Myself, absolutely. Like she said, what's the saying? Flash in the pan?
This is not a
flash in the pan. I'm here. I've been working with Amara for the past few weeks. I like to consider myself a political strategist of sorts. And yeah, we about to do this thing. That's all we got for questions today. Thank you guys so much.
Amara what? Amara who? Making Chicago better for you. Say Amara what? Amara who? Making Chicago better for you. Amara what? Amara who? Making Chicago better for you. Amara what? Amara who? Making Chicago better for you.
That was Chance the Rapper announcing his endorsement for Amara India as Chicago's next mayor, despite rumors he says he'll likely never run. Here is a live look over the Benjamin Franklin Park. This actually looks like Love Park. The Philadelphia area is slated for a chilly Tuesday with northwesterly breeze and temperatures stuck in the 50s that will make it feel like fall again. Temperatures will fluctuate between the 50s and 60s for the remainder of the week, though sunshine will be more prominent than cloud cover for most days. Rain is expected to return to the forecast by Saturday morning. And if you're ready for even chillier times, here's a look at the 7-day forecast. Tuesday will be sunny to partly cloudy, low of 58 and high of 46. Wednesday is sunshine, low 62 with high of 40. Thursday will be more sun than clouds, low 51, high 36. Friday, a mix of sun and clouds, low 58, high 51. And Saturday morning, there's showers to be expected with a low of 62 and a high of 44. There was breaking news out of Logan section of the city today where canine and cadaver dogs may have found a body. Steve Keeley was live at this scene earlier. Here's a look at the latest update he did provide.
So we want to get right back to Steve Keeley because he's an update on the breaking news I'm covering in Logan.
Well, I did get some official word from Malachi Jones, who's the commander at Northwest Detectives, and he got a call at 6, and it looks like human remains for sure, which he said was a large human skull right off a path, but it's a tight area there. So we just had the fire department here, even with the jaws of life, but some of their most powerful saws cutting away some of the brush. And Malachi says it's possible somebody died or was killed somewhere else, and then somebody dumped a body here in a shallow grave. So we do have the crime scene unit back there sifting and digging in the dirt. So they are going to be here for a while along with the medical examiner. So this is now being labeled a suspicious death. with skeletal remains found in Kemble Park right across from Central High School. Alex, Mike, Karen?
Horrible.
Now, since that update, we have learned that the body is actually that of a 2-year-old from a special victims case. Follow us on social media and tune into the 5 and 6 o'clock news for this developing story. The countdown is on if you're feeling lucky. The Mega Millions and Powerball lotteries now have nearly $1 billion combined jackpot. Since no one won Friday, the Mega Millions jackpot now sits at $654 million, putting it in the top 5 highest drawings ever. And the Powerball top prize of $345 million is up for grabs tomorrow. The diplomatic crisis between the United States and Saudi Arabia after the disappearance of a journalist, Doug Luzader in Washington, has the latest and spoke with Fox 29 this morning.
The Saudis may be on the verge within the hour here of changing their whole story about the missing journalist.
There are a number of reports this morning that Saudi Arabia may admit to killing the journalist just a day after the Saudi king vehemently denied any involvement to President Trump. But it's interesting because they're saying that they were involved, but saying it was an accident.
Well,
things
yeah,
got out of hand.
Things got out of hand. A lot of people think that maybe they had a kidnapping planned here to get the guy back to Saudi Arabia. There's Doug.
Hey, yeah, maybe so. We'll see whether the Saudis do, in fact, change their stories. It certainly is a very interesting development here, though, and this does threaten to blow up into a full diplomatic crisis.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo wading into a hornet's nest, arriving in Saudi Arabia to try to defuse this crisis. The Wall Street Journal, among others, reporting that the Saudis may admit to accidentally killing journalist and Saudi government critic Jamal Khashoggi during an interrogation. He was last seen entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul 2 weeks ago.
I heard that report, but nobody knows if it's an official report. So far, it's just the rumor of a report coming out.
Just a rumor, he says, but if it's true, it would upend what Saudi King Salman personally told the president just yesterday, that his government was not involved. And the president repeated the king's theory, someone else did it.
It sounded to me like maybe these could have been rogue killers. Who knows? We're going to try getting to the bottom of it very soon.
The Saudi and Turkish investigators converged at the Saudi consulate yesterday to gather evidence, but a cleaning crew arrived there hours earlier. And while the president has promised severe consequences if there was Saudi involvement, this is complicated. Those consequences could imperil a Saudi arms deal with the U.S., drive up oil prices, or even play into the hands of Russia and Iran.
King Salman, with whom the president just spoke, was the first Saudi monarch ever to visit Russia. There's no question that the Russians and the Iranians are watching all of this with great interest and probably great pleasure as well.
The Saudis are already facing some consequences here. You have a lot of business leaders that are giving the country a wide berth now. So they are facing some consequences, but the question will be if they confess to this, what will the president's next move be? And he's going to face a lot of pressure from Democrats and Republicans alike here on Capitol Hill to do something. Mike and Alex.
Sell so many arms to them now. I mean, billions of dollars worth.
And there's the price of oil to consider as well. I mean, there are just a lot of possible repercussions here.
Yeah. We need electric cars.
President Donald Trump is on a tweeting spree today. Right now, he just said federal judge throws out Stormy Daniels' lawsuit versus Trump. Trump is entitled to full legal fees. At Fox News, great, now I can go after Horseface on her third-rate lawyer in the great state of Texas. She will confirm the letter she signed. She knows nothing about me, a total con. That is our President Donald Trump tweeting. Okay, this just into Fox 29 News. Police say a man was shot and killed Monday night in Montgomery County during a traffic dispute. The shooting occurred at 9:30 p.m. at Dewey Road and Front Street in the Melrose Park section of Cheltenham Township. Officers responding to a 911 call of gunshots in the area found a man suffering from multiple gunshot wounds on the roadway. Police say 29-year-old Ruthina Thorne, 29, of Philadelphia, was rushed to Einstein Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Police and county detectives are investigating. They say the shooting happened during a traffic dispute when Thorne approached a dark-colored vehicle, stopped at the intersection, and the operator fired multiple shots at him. Detectives are conducting witness interviews and gathering surveillance video. Anyone who witnessed the incident is asked to call police or Montgomery County detectives. In Newcastle County, a bizarre case. Police there are trying to track down a man accused of threatening a woman with a hammer. This is the suspect Delaware State Police are searching for. The victim snapped this photo as he yelled at her to get out of her car at this Wawa Sunday in Wilmington. Police say he could face a felony charge for threatening the women with a dangerous instrument. If you recognize the man in the photo, you are asked to call the Delaware State Police. It looks like we do not have that video. My apologies. We will come back to that. Developing in West Philadelphia, police are looking for two men after a double shooting outside SEPTA's 60th Street station. Two victims are in the hospital, a 19-year-old man who was shot in the back of the head and a 20-year-old man who was shot in the arm. Police say the two victims were waiting by the steps leading up to the L train around 10 last night. That's when two men walked up, armed with semi-automatic weapons, and opened fire. Investigators are looking through surveillance footage which shows the entire shooting. This is a live look at the Llano River flooding in Kingsland, Texas. The National Weather Service in Austin, San Antonio has extended the flash flood warning for Gillespie County in south central Texas, Llano County in south central Texas until 3:30 p.m. Today. Doppler radar and automated rain gauges indicated heavy rain falling across the warned area. As much as 10 inches of rain has fallen over the past 36 hours. Flash flooding is already occurring. Multiple roads are closed due to high water in the area. The Llano River at Llano is currently above 39 feet and is expected to crest at 41 feet. This is a very dangerous situation for vulnerable areas. All areas within 1/4 mile of the river are advised to evacuate. Just this morning in Kingsland, Texas, this is a live look of that area, the river, Llano River. A bridge collapsed over this river around 9:15 this morning. Two evacuation centers have been set up in Llano, the JLK Event Center and Lutie Watkins Methodist Church. In Kingsland, the river has nearly crested the FM 2900 bridge. This is a live look at Vice President Pence arriving in Albany, Georgia. Vice President Mike Pence is visiting Southwest Georgia today, where he will survey damage done from Hurricane Michael, a day after President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania did the same thing. Pence will stop in Bainbridge and visit with farmers who have suffered crop losses because of the hurricane. Governor Nathan Deal, U.S. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue, U.S. Senator Johnny Isaacson, and David Perdue, and U.S. Rep. Sanford Bishop are expected to join Pence during the visit, according to the White House. This is a live look at him arriving. Okay, and back to that story from earlier. Matthew Shepard was brutally murdered when he was 21 years old, all because he was gay. This was 20 years later. Fox 29 Good Day spoke with LGBTQ activist Nellie Fitzgerald and Reverend Dr. Susan Richardson about this case 20 years later.
Well, today marks, believe it or not, 20 years exactly to this date since Matthew Shepard's funeral, and now his family is ready to place his remains in a final resting place, and this is where it's going to be, Washington's National Cathedral.
So Shepard was raised in the Episcopal faith, and his family believes that it will be a fitting tribute.
On October 7th, 1998, 21-year-old University of Wyoming student Matthew Shepard left a bar with two men. Police say he was robbed, beaten with a pistol repeatedly, and tied to a fence post to die. Matthew did die on October the 12th, 5 days later.
In our shock and grief, one thing must remain clear. Hate and prejudice are not American values.
Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson are each serving 2 consecutive life sentences. Shepard's death became a rallying cry for change. A foundation in his name has fought tirelessly for equal protection and consideration for the LGBTQ community. The story continues to live on through books, a play, and a film, The Laramie Project.
They wanted to teach him a lesson not to come on to straight people.
We don't grow children like that here.
And the documentary, Matt Shepard is a Friend of Mine.
Matthew's mother said, please tell everybody who's listening to go home and give your kids a hug, and don't let a day go by without telling them that you love them. They're very grateful that when they last saw Matthew, his last words to them were, I love you.
Our attorney and activist, Nellie Fitzpatrick, is here. Nellie, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
And the Reverend Dr. Susan Richardson, Assistant Minister of Christ Church, our neighbor down the street here. Of course, an Episcopal church. And Susan, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Now, when I think of the Episcopal church, I think pretty progressive, you know. So is this a surprise to you that his remains would be in an Episcopal church, so to speak?
Not a surprise at all, and I'm grateful. Yeah.
What about you, Nellie?
No, of all the churches, certainly not. You know, with Reverend Gene Robinson and Marianne Buddy being involved in directly communicating with Judy and Dennis Shepard, both of those two individuals are out leaders in the Episcopal Church who have, you know, through their sexual orientation, been outed to the nation and been outed to all LGBT people who are looking to see places where their houses of worship and their different religions will accept them. And the Episcopal Church has been different in that regard. Certainly different churches vary, and the church has historically sent messages of discrimination and hate and unwelcome. We certainly still see that today in many churches.
Do your parishioners know about it? I mean, it hasn't been broadcast, you know, so much around the country.
Well, they will now.
They will now. Will you talk about it Sunday?
Yeah, I think we will, and I look forward to it. And I think this was, I hadn't realized it either, so I knew we were coming up to the 20th anniversary. I hadn't really known that he was going to be interred at the National Cathedral. But
will there be any negativity, do you think?
Not at Christ Church Philadelphia.
I would not think so.
Yeah, and as far as I know, I can't imagine in the Episcopal Church as a whole anyone seeing this as anything other than a witness.
And of course, you're probably talking about, because even when his funeral happened, there were some negative attention as well, some protesters that showed that.
Horrible Westboro Baptist Church out of Topeka, Kansas. Yeah.
But can we talk about how much of a big deal this is? Because, you know, not many people get to be interred. You know, and I think it's like he's one of 200.
In a cathedral.
Yes, in a cathedral. Why do you think, I mean, we all know how his story had such a big effect on the nation, but why do you think they chose him, or why do you think this is happening?
I think it's twofold. I think first and foremost, Judy Shepard and her husband Dennis have both stepped up to the plate and been tremendous LGBT activists and advocates since the death of their son. The murder of Matthew as a whole truly shocked the conscience of the nation. I think that Matthew's murder truly woke people up, including media, to the fact that this level of violence is happening against LGBT people. Back then, it was specifically waking them up to the violence that was happening against gay people. We're seeing, even still now, media and society having to come to grips with and understand the level of violence that's happening to the rest of our acronym, to people who are transgender. We're seeing media and society beginning to even understand that bisexual people are here and are real and are not defined by the relationship that they are currently in.
But we never talked about it. There's been violence years and years, decades back.
Correct.
For this community. So was his case a game changer? Did it start the change?
I think
we're
yes.
still not in the right spot yet.
Exactly. We're not in the right spot, but it certainly drew attention to something that was not being talked about publicly. And it certainly wasn't in the media. I challenge anybody to think of somebody before Matthew Shepard that was LGBT identified that you remember seeing at that level in the media. It doesn't mean that the violence wasn't happening. So we saw media activists and advocates step forward, people like Kathy Renna, who then their entire career became talking to media and getting media to understand how to tell these stories so that society can understand that LGBT people are here and violence is occurring and it's not okay.
I mean, we're talking about, and this has to be quickly, but the fact that this is a big deal, how it kind of changed the nation. But when it comes to religion, though, there's also still a ways to go. We know that Matthew was involved with the Episcopal Church. He was an altar boy and all that. What message do you think this sends maybe to other religions or just religion in general when it comes to this?
I appreciate the question. And right quick, a little corrective. He's going to be interred there. It's true his parents were close to Dean Robinson, but because they asked.
For this,
There's, I mean, it's ultimately the dean's discretion, but if anyone is interested, they can approach the cathedral and begin that process. So it's very open. It just needs to be an Episcopal service. For me, thank you for that question. I feel like as one of the intentions of the founders of the National Cathedral had been several-fold, but one thing was that they wanted it to be a witness to the stories of people who have affected American history. Now it is heartbreaking and so sad, and now we're all living through this again, that Matthew is a part of American history in this way. But sadly, as we know from looking around us now, hate is still present and still being enabled and empowered. And so my hope is also that by him being there as a witness to this ongoing concern in American story, that's a place to pause and reflect and work against our human capacity for that kind of
I think a lot of people will do just that. Good to see you.
Yes, thank you to you both.
Nellie, good to see you, as always. Okay, quick break.
A Melania Trump spokeswoman is asking people to boycott Atlanta rapper T.I. because of his promotional album video that shows a woman resembling the First Lady stripping in the Oval Office. Trump's communications director, Stephanie Grisham, tweeted Saturday asking how this video is acceptable. T.I., whose real name is Clifford Harris, tweeted Friday, "Dear 45, I ain't Kanye," before sharing the video. The woman is wearing a jacket that reads, "I really don't care, do you?" Trump wore a jacket with that wording on her way to visit migrant children in Texas. She said recently in an interview with ABC News that she wore the jacket to troll reporters. Those tweets followed T.I. posting on Instagram that he was done working with rapper Kanye West, who is a President Donald Trump supporter. This will be a live press conference in Barron, Wisconsin, where the sheriff gives an update on a missing 13-year-old girl. It's starting right now.
Tolomeo, Special Agent in Charge, FBI Milwaukee, and Brian O'Keefe, Administrator with the Department of Criminal Investigation. First of all, I want to thank everybody in the community for their assistance they have provided so far, and we are requesting your continued help in bringing Jamie home. Jamie has been described to those who know her as a sweet and shy 13-year-old who enjoys dancing and sports. She has been missing for a day and a half, and our community is concerned for her safety. Often, someone in the community will have knowledge about a crime and may not realize it. Individuals who commit acts of violence may display changes in their behavior, and individuals around that person may observe those changes. They will recognize the changes and may even question the people about it, but may not realize those changes are the person's involvement in a crime. The individual's usually routine will likely be altered. Such things as missing work, missing scheduled appointments for family and commitments, and they may suddenly leave town. The individual may change their appearance or change something to prevent their identification. Every second counts in this case. When a child like Jamie is missing, we ask you to observe this behavior and report it to us. Please continue to contact our tip line at 1-855-744-3879. We will have an updated picture on our Facebook page shortly after this press conference. We are continuing to work with agencies, local, state, the Department of Criminal Investigation, the FBI. We have every resource that is available across the nation working this case. I couldn't be more happy and proud of the effort put forth by the teams that we've assembled here. At this time, we will be able to take a few questions.
Are you getting any tips coming in at this point? It's been more than 24 hours. Are we any closer to figuring out where she is right now?
We continue to get tips all the time. Those tips are being followed up by teams put together by both of the agencies standing behind me, and we continue to follow up on those tips.
Can you walk us through that 911 call and why it was unusual? What about it was unusual, that 911 call?
Well, the 911 call was given that night from the residence on a cell phone, but no contact was made with somebody that was on the other line, and that's what's unusual about that 911 call. There was no one communicating with our dispatcher.
The word help, did you hear that? Did the dispatcher hear that?
I don't know if the word help was said. I can't comment on that. I don't know if that was said, but there was some kind of disturbance going on, and that's why law enforcement was sent to the house.
Sheriff, what about the Miami tip? Are you actively searching out the timing? It would seem wouldn't add up, but I'm wondering what your office.
We are actively researching that tip, but what I'm telling you is I'm the face of information. If it's something you guys need to know about, it'll come from me. It'll come from our Facebook page. It'll come from the FBI Twitter account. That's what I'm saying is every tip continues to be followed up on. And if it's something that we need to get out to you, that we're looking for something, we will get that information. It will come directly from me out to you. So I guess that's my comment on that, and we continue to follow up on every tip that comes in.
So what role did the FBI play?
The FBI is assisting us in this with this, along with the Department of Criminal Investigation. They're providing support teams, staff, anything we need. The FBI is here to assist us in any form.
Sheriff, what can you tell us about what may have happened inside the home? Were there signs of a struggle?
I can't comment on that's part of the active investigation. We continue to have teams on scene at the residence to continue to process that scene. We're working with the state crime lab. It was coming up. We redid the scene to make sure we didn't miss anything. We continue to monitor that scene, so we're not going to comment on what took place inside the residence.
You said that gun casings were found, bullet casings were found, but yet you refused to say the manner in which the two were killed. The assumption would be that it was a homicide by shooting. Can you comment at all on cause of death at this point, given that discrepancy?
We will not be causing comment on death. We're waiting for the autopsy reports to be done. The autopsy is being done currently. After that, we hope to get a preliminary autopsy results. Hopefully at 4 o'clock we'll be able to release more information about that.
Is there information that you are aware of about the crime scene that you cannot share with us, and can you tell us why you're not sharing some of that information right now?
Because we want to bring Jamie home. That's the main point. I will not interrupt this investigation for anybody to have any information that's not necessary except for the essential people behind me and their staff. That's why I won't give out any information. If we think it's key to the case where we need the public's help, we will disseminate that information. But until then, our number one goal is to bring Jamie home, and no amount of information will be given out unless we feel it's appropriate to help. Yes?
Is the community in danger, and what about the social media for the young girl? I understand you've been checking that.
Yeah, we are. We do follow up on all those leads. We're following up on phones. We're following up on social media. That's where the expertise of both the Department of Criminal Investigation and the FBI experts come into play. They're going through that. The first part of your the danger. At this time, I don't want to say that there's a danger to the community, but there's some unknowns in this case. We're following up on leads, but at this time, I don't see a danger to the public. But we want everybody to remain as some of these things. If there's a change in behavior, please report that to our tip line. That's the key to why we're out here standing in front of you today. Again, our goal to bring Jamie home. That's our only goal.
Sheriff, have you questioned any people of interest?
We've questioned a lot of people. We follow up on every tip. So I guess again, if there was something of interest that I felt the public needed to know, we would disseminate that information.
Sheriff, when was the last time Jamie was seen? Someone had contact with her? What can you tell us about that?
I believe that Sunday afternoon there was a family gathering, so they were. We continue to follow up on to make sure we're closing that timeline. That's part of our investigation, is the timeline of this case, and we continue to follow up on that timeline. But Sunday afternoon there was a family gathering that she attended.
And tell us why you don't think this is a case of a girl who just ran away.
That would be part of the investigation that our tips are following up on. And I'm telling you, Jamie's missing and endangered, and that's where I'm going to leave that.
Sheriff, have you ever seen anything like this?
No, I haven't seen anything like this in rural western Wisconsin. We just don't see this, thankfully. I can't be more thankful for the team that was built behind me, the team at the Sheriff's Department, and we'll continue to give you updates as needed on our Facebook page, FBI, Twitter account, and we will continue to battle the tips that come in and bring Jamie home. Again, that's our goal. So we will be back here at 4 o'clock with an update, same location, same time. So thank you.
Thank you. I think we got it.
Okay, that was a live press conference in Barron, Wisconsin, where earlier this morning police arrived on scene to two parents dead, and this Jamie is missing. She's a 13-year-old, Jamie Kloss, and she vanished after her parents were found dead. We will continue to check back for updates on this. Another press conference will be held at 4 p.m. tonight.